Hey everyone, and welcome to Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Today we're going to be doing another crafter square kit that I got from the Dollar Tree. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, I think this is the last kit from the set of kits put out by Crafter Square. I think this is the latest and greatest. They're not the greatest, they're not. So if you are struggling with any of these kits, don't beat yourself up. They are tough. The instructions are not right at all. So let's look into this. We have stuffing, spool of yarn, some black yarn, another spool of yarn. We have a crochet hook, plastic flimsy needle, and some oogly eyes. It also comes with instructions. Due to copyright, I cannot share those instructions for you. If you really want to make this kit, you can go to your local Dollar Tree and get them there. What my channel does is teaches you how to do the new stitches, or any of these stitches, at least 3 times step by step. In the case of these Crafter Square kits, I have to also explain what they are trying to say because the instructions are awful. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. I have not seen these at all, so this is definitely going to be a first time look for myself. So let's get straight into this. Always difficult. The first part of the instructions always has some explanations on how to do everything you would need to make this kit, even though I don't think there's enough information on there. Where the project starts is where it says body. So we're going to be starting, the project looks like it's going to be doing the amigurumi, which is the spiral. The funny thing is this photoshopped photo in the front would be difficult for you to figure that one out. I know I did. But alright, let's get into this. What I like to do is find the inside of these spools. It's going to keep from the whole spool spinning when you pull the yarn that you need. So I'm just going to go in here and grab a random strand because I can't find the other end. So this may pull out a whole chunk. This may pull out the other end. You just never know, but regardless, it's okay. We can fix it if it's a huge chunk. So I'm just gonna, oh, and I got lucky. Happened to pull the end out. The idea behind this is if you pull the whole chunk, don't worry. We're gonna end up using it, and then once you get to this point where you need more, you can keep pulling, 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 and it's not gonna roll around. You just have to put a paperweight on here. And man, my voice is always squeaky on these stinking videos. Apologies. Alright, so one thing that I want to talk about before we move on to making this project, they don't put these in their kits anymore. Once upon a time, Crafter Square did put them in there. I guess it's too expensive for them. But these are actually cheap. You can buy a whole bunch in a little packet at a local hobby store or online. I do have an Amazon storefront where I've pinned a couple of sellers that do sell this. I have not purchased from them, but they are high star rated stores. So you can start looking there, or if you trust the star rating, you can get their stitch markers. But we need these, and the more the merrier, because these are going to help you keep track of your project, especially if you have to stop. Judging by the look of this, I don't know how often we may use this, but I have a bunch on hand ready to go. So if you don't have any stitch markers, you can use different color pieces of yarn to crochet through the last stitch you made per row. The only thing is, be careful because you can easily pull them out. All right, so the instructions, again, all of it is a lot of explanations from the top down to the middle. You're going to want to start where it says body. So what we're going to do is cast on with the slip knot. So you want to take your ring, pinky, and thumb down here, and then index and middle finger on the other end like this. So this is going to be kind of like a quick way to do it without having to use the hook. So what you're going to do is take 2 fingers here. We're going to push up on here, turn it down into a loop. Then you're going to take your middle finger and index finger and take the feeder yarn and pull it through that loop, making a huge knot right here. Then we're going to close the knot. So just tighten the knot up. Just make sure that the tail here is quite small. You don't want to waste too much yarn because you never know with these kits if they're going to give you enough yarn to begin with. So I like to not waste as much. So once you've tightened it, you can also pull on this tail to make sure it's nice and snug. You don't have to pull it all the way or really hard, just enough to make it snug. So this is the amount of yarn I'm wasting, so I feel good about that. This is a loop that we have to make smaller, so hold on to your knot. We're going to take the feeder yarn and we're going to pull this until that loop is small enough to fit a crochet hook. All right, and then we're going to begin the body. So let's just say that their crochet loops that they wrote down here is equivalent to a single crochet stitch. They're not calling it that though. So in order to get that number of crochet loops, we first have to do chains. So what we're going to do is you're going to hold this knot and we're going to do a chain. The chain is the most basic stitch in crocheting. What you want to do is yarn over, which is taking this feeder yarn and putting it over the hook. Then we're going to take the feeder yarn and pull it through the loop. So that is one chain. Now, on its top side, there's a loop here and a loop there. On its side, you can see the back hump back here. So each chain stitch is made up of 3 loops. Okay. Let us do another one. So yarn over, pull through the loop, and you have another chain. So top side, you can see it's starting to look like a braid. Loop on this side, loop on this side, and if you turn it on its side, you can see the back humps. All right, one more time with you guys. Yarn over, pull through the loop. Look at it on top. It looks like a braid. Look at it at its side. You have the back humps. All right. I'm showing you these pieces because it's going to help us later in the next row or the first row. This, what they don't tell you, and they probably explain it up on the instructions, but we're just fast coursing this. So you're going to make your chains. You're going to make the number of chains or crochet loops that they say for the first row, but we are going to add an extra chain. So do the number of crochet loops that they tell you for the first row, but add one more, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm just going to finish this then. Okay. So I've added the extra chain, and I'm going to explain why. When we do rows of single crochet stitches, and this is universal, we have to build the height. So the height is typically 1 chain stitch for a single crochet stitch. So we're going to put the extra chain there, so we that's going to count as the height. Now let me teach you how to do a single crochet stitch. So when you start off like this from chains, universally to do a single crochet stitch, it's the second chain from the hook. That's why we added an extra chain there. So you're going to skip a chain from the hook. So 1, 2, we're going to put our hook into the second chain, and I'm going to use the back hump. So I explained earlier, this is the top side. It looks like a braid. Here's one loop on this side, one loop on the other side. If you turn it on its side, you can see the back hump right there. So I'm going to stick my hook into that back hump, and I'm going to start my single crochet stitch. So yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So you have a single crochet stitch. Then we're going to go into the next stitch and stick in your hook, back hump. So there's the braid, turn it on its side. We're going to put the hook in the back hump, and then we're going to do another single crochet stitch. Make sure you're not splitting your yarn. The quality of the yarn isn't that great. If it's a better quality, the twist on it is tighter. Not like crazy tight, but tighter to where you can't split it. But anyway, make sure you're not splitting your yarn. Now let's do a single crochet stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. One more time with you guys. Stick your hook into the next back hump. We're going to do a single crochet stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Now before I move ahead on my own, let me show you what this looks like. Top side view, you can see that it looks like the chains. We have a little braid going on here. We have, and then we're going to turn this on the front side, and then you can see how it's kind of stacked. So this right here is the back loops. This right here is the front loops. All right, so I'm going to finish the rest of the single crochet stitches for this row. Again, I have, or maybe not again, I have separated this video into its chapters, so you can go into the description box and select on the sections you need. So rewind this section as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing single crochet stitches on your own. But again, I'm going to finish this. Make the number of crochet loops indicated for row 1, and then we'll come back in and I'll show you what to do next. For this last chain stitch here, I like to try to hide my little tail piece. So once you put your hook into that back hump, you're going to lay down this excess piece and you're going to start stitching around it. So yarn over, pull up a loop so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So you see it's kind of tucked away now. Alright, so this is where you can come in and you can definitely put your stitch marker under the last stitch we made, front and back loop. You can pull it to see if you had cleared the yarn. When you pull it, you should see a nice clear hole. If you split it, you're not going to see that clear hole, and you're going to want to fix that. But this is going to indicate that we are starting the second row. So for example, if I had to go to work or make dinner or whatever, when you come back, you'll remember that this one is the second row. And it's only the second row now, but if you do other projects, including this one, the higher rows you get, the harder it's going to be for you to have to count it and identify how many rows you have. All right, so now we're going to do row 2. And we're going to increase stitches on each end. But to do that, let's chain 1. And then we're going to turn. This chain 1 is going to build the height. Alright, the first stitch we're going to do is an increasing stitch. So stick your hook into the first stitch here. That's where your stitch marker is at. We're going to do 2 single crochet stitches in this stitch. So 1 and 2. Then from here we're going to be doing single crochet stitches. And then for the last stitch, we're going to do an increasing stitch. Alright, I'm going to put a stitch marker here underneath the last stitch we made, underneath the braid, pull this to see if it's nice and clear. Then we're going to do row 3. So row 3, we're going to increase our stitches by 2 again. So I'm going to do an extra stitch on each end. But first you have to chain 1 for the height, turn. Then we're going to do an increasing stitch in this first stitch here. So put your hook where that stitch marker is at, and we're going to do an increasing stitch. That's 2 single crochet stitches in this stitch. So 1. Stick your hook back into that same stitch, and 2. And then we're going to do single crochet stitches in the remaining stitches here. And then for the last stitch, I'm going to do another increase. So in your last stitch, make 2 single crochet stitches in here. Get a stitch marker, put it under the last stitch you made. Make sure it clears. Then we're going to do row 3. Okay. Well, row 4, sorry. Is that right? One, 2, 3. Yeah, we're doing row 4. Whoops, I was behind a count. Chain 1. So we're pretty much going to do the same number of stitches. So that's going to be all single crochet stitches. Your stitch marker. Alright, so now for row 5 and 6. Well, for row 5 we're going to increase by 2 stitches. So I'm going to put it at each end. So chain 1 and turn. We're going to do increasing stitches on each end. Okay, get your stitch marker here. And then for row 6 we're doing the same number of stitches, so it's going to be all single crochet stitches. All right, so now for row 7, we're going to increase another 2 stitches. So we're going to do an increasing stitch on each end. Then for row 8, we're doing the same number of stitches. Then for row 9, we're going to add a couple more stitches. So increases on each end. So for the 10th row, we're going to do the same number of stitches. All right. So now for row, where are we? 11, we're going to learn something new. We're going to be doing a decreasing stitch. So let me show you how to do that. And we're going to be decreasing by 2 stitches, so on each end we're going to do that. So chain 1 and turn. Okay, to do a decreasing stitch, you want to stick your hook into the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Then you're going to stick your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. So we pretty much took 2 stitches and made it into 1. So now we can do the rest of these stitches here. Alright, and then we're going to do another decreasing stitch. So stick your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops. Into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you have 3 loops. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So we took 2 single crochet stitches and made it into 1. I'm going to get my stitch marker. So now for the next few rows, so we just did the 11th row, this is the 12th, and we're going to do one more after that. We're going to do the same number of stitches, so it's all going to be single crochet stitches till you use up these stitch markers. Again, they're really important for you to get because they're so helpful at keeping track of how many rows and stitches you're doing. Alright, so I completed up to row 13. For row 14, we're going to be decreasing another 2 stitches. So we're going to decrease on each end. So I'll show you this one more time. Into the first stitch here where the stitch marker is, put in your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Into the next stitch over, put in your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. We've made 2 stitches into 1. Right, so we're going to do single crochet stitches after this. And then decrease on this end. I'm just realizing they skipped row 14. Oh my gosh. Let me check the rows. They definitely skipped a row. Alright, they definitely skipped a row. They didn't, they have row 11 through 13 and they're missing 14. So in this event, because I already did row 15, which is actually 14, since we lost a row, if you had not done this yet, I would go ahead and add in that 14 row. I'm compelled to actually just take a second to yeah, I'm compelled. Alright, just pause where you are. Row 16 is the same number of stitches, so you can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to take back this decreasing row because it says row 13 and it totally skipped 14. I'm just going to guess that they meant row 14. They could have just misnumbered the rows, but I'm just pulling this. If you clear your thread and you're not piercing through the yarn, you'll be able to pull the yarn without any problems. But I'm just going to do this real quick. So basically we're just adding in another row of single crochet stitches. So again, these round of kits, thank goodness this is the last one, because honestly I don't think I can stomach another one of these. I hope that the next round of kits they put out, Crafter Square, is going to be you know, back to the other ones. I think there was the round of cactus and bee and whale. I forget the other ones in that set. They had really good instructions compared to what I started with. I started with the rounds with they had a teddy bear, a bunny, and I don't know, they came in 6, so obviously I'm missing a lot, but those ones were the first ones, and they had the diagram charts with the pie pictures. Yeah, I thought those were bad. They've progressively gotten a lot better since then, but this set of 6, horrendous. I wouldn't wish these on my enemy, to be honest. So yeah, I'm just doing row 15 again. For those that have been doing this with me, listen, missing a row, is it gonna hurt you? I don't think so. But for me, because I just cannot, you know, You can pause this here and do this with me and just unravel that last row 15, and then add 14 that's missing from the instructions. And we'll be right back to where we left off before I figured out there was a row missing. What it is too, I think they're just taking the same instructions and changing up the lines and not fully reading it when they do. But anyway, okay, so make pretend. Oh, this was supposed to be the decreasing one. Shoot me now. Sorry. Did I do it here? Oh, good. I did it here. Oh, I increased. Sorry. The struggle is real. So, listen, I've been crocheting for a lot of years, and even I get tripped up, especially when the instructions are bad. So I feel your frustrations, but you can do this. Take your breaks. I always say take your breaks where you need it. You don't want to go too crazy over a kit, you know, especially if it's $1.25. But take your break, you know, come back in a few hours, in a few days, months, enough time for you to have some new perspective on it. And then stop again when you feel like you're going mad. Okay, all that hoopla just to get back to row 16. So we were at row 15. I found out there was a row 14 that's missing from the instructions. Added that in, redid row 15. So for row 16, all that is the same number of stitches. So this is going to be pretty straightforward. This one's just going to be single crochet stitches all the way across. You know, some people say, oh, why don't you edit out your mistakes? Well, there are some people that feel like, you know, I don't make mistakes and that it's going to be impossible for them to learn how to crochet because I'm making it seem easy, but it's not, you know? So for me to show the reality that it's not easy, that I do make mistakes, hopefully that encourages you to think that you can do these kits too. How many is supposed to be on here? All right, let me just take a break. Be right back. All right, so I made myself a drink. Hot cocoa, don't ask. I was kind of craving it, so I made it. And I know it's not that, it's kind of hot right now, but I wanted hot cocoa. You know, things that make me feel better about what I'm doing right now. All right, stitch marker. So we are gonna do row 17. All right. So again, we're going to be decreasing on each side. All right, so I'm going to chain one and turn. Let's do our decreasing stitch on each end. And then a decreasing stitch. All right. So it looks like this, we're getting to the neck of the dinosaur. This probably is the head. So we did row 17. We're gonna do row 18, and it looks like we're gonna increase the stitches again. So this narrow part is probably the neck. All right, so we've already done increasing stitches, so we're going to increase our stitches at each end of the row. And I know I've done several of these already, but I'm putting the increases and decreases on each end of the row just to keep it even. So especially when you get instructions like this and you're trying to plan, oh, where am I supposed to increase, where am I supposed to decrease, good rule of thumb is just to do your increases or decreases where it's going to be symmetrical, especially if you're looking at your object or your project, and I almost did a decrease. I was like counting. I'm like, uh-oh. Especially if you're looking at your project and it looks fairly symmetrical. So I hope that helps. All right, stitch marker. Next, we're gonna do row 19. And we're gonna increase again by 2 stitches. So on each end. And you're going to end up making 2 of these. So it seems like this batch of crochet kits, it's not amigurumi. I wonder on the cover, does it say amigurumi? No, it doesn't. All right. So I think on the other kits, you can correct me if I'm wrong, on the other set of kits that came out in the past, I think they said amigurumi. These ones don't, so it's not going to be that. Okay, increasing stitch at the end. So I guess that's one way to find out. Still learning how Crafter Square puts out their kits, considering they're inconsistent. All right, now okay, so we did row 19. After each row, I probably should have said this before, just check the number of stitches to make sure you have the correct number of stitches. I'm actually going to do that now because these instructions are so confusing. Okay. All right, so this is round 20, or row 20, 21, 22. So we're going to do the same number of stitches for the next few rows. And it looks like they didn't skip again, so that's good. Whoa, what is that? All right, so now after that, we're going to do row 23 and we're going to decrease 2 stitches. So I'm going to decrease that on each end. Right. And then for row 24, we're going to decrease the row by another 2 stitches. So on each end, we're going to be doing a decreasing stitch. Decreasing stitch. Right, and then for row 8, we're gonna do row 8, sorry, for row 25, we're gonna decrease another 2 stitches. Did I chain one yet? Yes, I did. And the last row, we're going to decrease another 2 stitches, 1 on each end. Oops. Okay, so that's the last stitch for the row. I'm not going to put any stitch markers. We are going to fasten off. So this is going to be one end of the dinosaur. So this is my thoughts, because it seems like this is smaller than this. I think that this is going to be the body and this is going to be the head. Either way, we need some tail to sew these pieces together. You're going to make another piece. I'm going to take my yarn here and wrap it around the perimeter of my project at least twice. I'm not sure if this will be enough. If you're worried about it, you can go another passing. So doing this 3 times, and I know we're trying to conserve yarn because you never know if they'll give you enough it's looking like there's enough, so I'm just going to wrap this 3 times, cut it, and then we're going to fasten this off. When you do the second side, you're only going to cut about 1 inch or so because we already have this long tail to use to sew the pieces together. So for the second side, because I'm going to do it off camera, for the second side, cut it off around here, and then we're going to fasten off. So to do that, you just yarn over and you pull through the loop, but you're going to pull the strand all the way out. For this one, it's long because we got a long tail to sew the piece together. For the second piece, it's only going to be about an inch or so long, so it'll be quicker to pull through. I'm going to pull on this to tighten it up, and then I could remove the stitch markers. I'm just going to leave them there. They might help me later lining this up when I sew it together. But you are going to do the other side. When we come back, which will be in a few seconds because you won't know, we're going to do the limbs and is that what they're calling it? The limbs? Okay. Well, the limbs, there's going to be 4 of them because in the photo he has arms and legs. So we're going to be doing 4 of the limbs. I'm only going to show 1 on camera. I'll do the rest off because this is all taking time. You could always just rewind the video. Again, I have my video separated in sections. You can go in the description box and select the section that you need. But yeah, till we come back, I'm going to work on this second side. Alright, so I have the 2 pieces that I'm going to be sewing together. But first, we're going to work through the limbs. So there's 4. It took me a minute to kind of get what it was saying, but the first part before the comma is going to be for the upper limb, and then the second part after the comma is going to be for the lower limb. Okay, now anything that I said before about amigurumi, just throw it out the window because I'm reading the instructions and it has the same kind of format. It's calling out rows instead of rounds, so you're thinking it's going to be the same thing like this. However, if you look at the photo to the right, you can see it's very deceptive because even the whole dinosaur body looks like it's amigurumi, but it's not. The arms and the legs do look like amigurumi, so I tried it out and it kind of works. I think that the arms and the legs are a little small for the body, but maybe with stuffing it'll fill out. Alright, so let's start off with the magic ring. Let me show you how to do this. You're going to take your end of the yarn here and wrap it around your index finger about 3 times with a little bit of overage so that you can put your middle finger right on there. Then you can take this opportunity to straighten out your strands, loosen or tighten them as you need, because we're going to slip our crochet hook underneath the 3 strands. So we'll do that now. Then from here, we're going to pull back our hook. We're going to hook this strand and drag it underneath these 2. So hook it, turn the hook sideways so that when you drag it underneath the other 2, you don't hook them as well. And once we're here, we're going to do a yarn over, and then we're going to pull the yarn over through the loop to close this off. You can let go of your middle finger and slip the rings off your index. Okay, so from here, we're going to do the first part, and it's going to take 5 rows. So let's do our single crochet stitches required for this first part here. Do that now. Okay, once you have all your stitches, we're going to overhand the hook. We're going to hold the bottom part right here with our thumb and index finger. Let go of your feeder yarn. Set that aside. We want to focus on this little tail and these 2 loops. So essentially we have to make these loops disappear. You can pull this all the way out at first, But what you're going to find is one or both of the loops are going to bunch up and you're going to have a wad sticking out. So to make sure everything is nice and smooth inside this magic ring, what I want you to do is pull on this tail. You want to watch out for which one of these loops goes in first. Once you identified which one is moving, stop pulling. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to pull slowly. I'm going to look at my loops and I'm seeing that that back loop here was the one going inside first. So we're going to pull out this end of that loop that moved in. And what this does is it's going to pull the other loop to go inside the magic ring. So pull this end out and you can see the other loop going in. Keep pulling that end until that loop is completely in the magic ring, just like that. Now we have this loop that we have to deal with. So now you can pull this tail and you'll see this loop go in. And so like I said, you can right off the bat pull this tail, but I guarantee you're going to have a little bunch stuck right here and it's not going to look nice and neat. So if you still find that there's a little hole there after pulling both those loops in, there is a little bit more you can do. Just pull it in the opposite direction and a little up. You're going to feel a little give to it, not too much, and then it's going to stop. You can stop pulling. You just closed up the hole here. So the magic ring is called that because you start with a big hole and then you end up with none. All right. So now we're going to go to the next steps, and I am going to ask you to get your stitch markers out. So we're going to be doing 5 rows here. So this is going to be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. You want to take your stitch marker here and put it under the last stitch we made. When you get into these rounds, it's more important that you have these because it's harder to see where the last stitch is. Alright, so from here we're going to count back from the hook the number of crochet stitches that were required for this first part. You're going to stick your hook into that last stitch, front and back loops, and we're going to continue doing this is single crochet stitches all the way around. So I'm just going to continue doing this, and I'm not a fan of these small rounds, so hopefully you're able to manage, but this is pretty tiny for me and I already have tiny hands on top of, you know, being an advanced crocheter. I still don't like it when they do things like this small when you're starting out. Okay. Once you finish that row, we're going to go straight into the next row. Again, this is pretty straightforward. It's all going to be single crochet stitches. So let's go ahead and do that. If you want to hide this tail, I'm going to show you what to do. When you stick your hook into the next stitch, take that tail from the magic ring and just lie it right across the hook alongside the stitch, and we're just going to stitch it in together with everything. And I'm going to do that all the way until there's no more tail. So when you put your hook into the next stitch, lay the tail on the hook and just stitch around it. This is going to make that tail disappear into the stitch. If you don't want to do that, you can always just tuck it into the limb, but sometimes, you know, I like to do that so that it acts like stuffing, but yeah, I don't know, I figured I'd show you how to do it this way. I've done it so many ways. You can also just cut it off if you want, but you know, I don't particularly like wasting the yarn. Again, once you finish the row, in this case it's a round, you just slip a new stitch marker in. And in case, I think I mentioned it earlier, I do have an Amazon storefront in the description box below. I pinned 2 sellers that sell these stitch markers. They're not, you don't have to buy from them. They're just high star rated. I personally have not purchased from them before. I just pinned them because they are of a high star rating. These stitch markers that I'm using have been collected over the years. They also have been gifts, so you never want to get rid of the tools that you use when you get these kits, because you never know when you're going to need them again. So I keep every needle, every hook, all of that. Okay, and this one is going to be the upper limb. So this is going to be the arm. I did already make the other pair off camera. I will put this video in sections, so you can always rewind back to the section you need by going into my description box and clicking on the section you need. Comment below, let me know how those sections are going for you. I knew that was something I should have done from the very beginning, but I hadn't. A viewer did suggest that I do put them in, so now that I've put them in, I'm just curious to see if you guys find it useful or if I don't need to put them in. Okay, so we have that. I finished up the rows. We are going to join this and fasten off. Well, I'm just going to remove these stitch markers here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, we're going to go into the next stitch. We're going to do a slip stitch, sorry. So yarn over, pull through all the loops off the hook, and that's a slip stitch. Then we're going to fasten off. I'm going to need yarn to sew, so I'm going to kind of over exaggeratingly go around the opening 3 times to make sure I have enough to sew the arm together to the body. Then we're going to fasten off, yarn over, pull through the loop all the way out like we did with the body, then pull on the tail to tighten that loop into a knot, and we have our hand. So like I said, I feel like it's a little small compared to the proportion of the body. I could be wrong, but I think when you put a little bit of stuffing in here, it's going to fill out and it's going to look all right. So this is the longer limb is for the upper body. Now we're going to do the lower limb, and I get to show you how to do the magic ring again. So that's always a plus in case you were stuck the first time. Let's wrap this yarn around our finger 3 times with a little bit of overage so we can put our middle finger right there. Take this opportunity to straighten out your strands, loosen or tighten them up as you need. We're going to slip our crochet hook underneath the 3 strands like this, and then we're going to pull it back, but we're going to pull this strand underneath these 2. So hook that strand, turn the hook sideways so that when you pull this under the strand, it doesn't hook the other 2. Then once we're here, you're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through the loop. To close that off, you can remove your middle finger, you can move the rings off your index, and then we're going to do the required number of single crochet stitches. So let's do that now. Alright, once you've completed your stitches, I'm going to overhand the hook. I'm going to hold the lower stitches right here with my thumb and index finger. I'm going to drop my feeder yarn, set it aside. What we're focusing now on is the little excess piece here in these two loops. Again, you can just pull this all the way out and see what happens, or we can do one at a time. So pull this tail and see which one of these two loops goes inside first. So I'm going to pull. All right, once I've identified which loop goes in first, you can stop pulling. The back loop here is again the one that goes inside first. You never know, sometimes it's the back loop, sometimes it's the front loop. You just have to pay attention to which one goes in first. So the one that went in first, you want to pull this end out, not this end here. You want to pull this one out because that is going to pull the other loop to go in. And the whole idea of this is to make the two loops disappear. So keep pulling on that end until that other loop is completely gone inside the magic ring. Then we can pull on this excess piece and then make this loop disappear. And then once we've done that, you might have a little hole here still. You can go and pull in the opposite direction and a little up, and you're going to feel a little give and it'll stop. You can let it go, don't pull it too hard. But now we can start our second round. So put in your stitch marker, and it's going to be single crochet stitches all the way around. So count the number of stitches from the hook required for this first round. Stick your hook into that last stitch. And then we're going to do our single crochet stitches. Again, not a fan of working with small pieces, but that's what we're doing today. So just try to be as neat as possible so that you can see your stitches. And then keep using your stitch markers as you need it. Jeez. That one is fairly closed. Okay. Okay, with small pieces like this, they'll have the tendency to curl in, which is natural, but we want, oh, I forgot to crochet this together. Whatever. So now you get to see it two different ways. This is the wrong side, and you can tell because the excess piece is sticking out, so you don't want that sticking out like that. We have to flip this inside out, so flip your arm inside out. And like I said, you can use this as stuffing and just shove this down in there. Just make sure you don't crochet in it. It'll make your project messy, and then if you have to unravel it for any reason, it's going to be a difficult task to do. But I think this is my last row, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And I'm using my middle finger to kind of keep that excess piece down into the lower limb while I crochet the last round. Again, I do find this a little small, but maybe after we stuff it, it won't be that bad. Okay. So now I'm just going to remove this. and we're going to join. So into the next stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through all the loops off your hook, and then we're going to fasten off. So I'm going to go around the perimeter over exaggeratingly 3 times so that I have enough yarn to sew to the body. And then we're going to fasten off. So yarn over, pull through the loop all the way out, then tighten up that loop into a knot. And here we have our lower limb. This is how much I have for the tail. Let's hope for the best. So I have my upper limb, the shorter one's the lower limb. Now let's do the tail. Oh, no. Oh, okay. So we are going to start out really tiny, but it's going to grow. So let's do this magic ring for the 3rd time. Wrap around your finger 3 times with a little overage. So you can take your middle finger and put it over the end right there. Take this opportunity to straighten out your strands, loosen them or tighten them as you need it. Stick your hook underneath the 3 strands. We're going to hook this one. So hook it, turn to the side so that we can slide this under the 2 without hooking it. Then we're going to yarn over and we're going to close this up. Let go of your middle finger. Remove this off of your index. If I don't have enough, I'm just going to tie this to the darker pink one. Alright, so let's do the single crochet stitches required for this row. It's not going to be many. Okay, once we're there, again, let's tighten up this magic ring. Watch to see which loop goes in first. Then pull that end out to make the other loop disappear. And then we're going to pull the excess piece to make the other loop disappear. I'm going to use this as stuffing. This tail is seemingly going to be small. So, crazy enough, I'm going to put the stitch marker in here. So now for the next row, horn. Maybe that's with a darker color. Sorry, I was looking ahead. Yeah. Alright, so for the next row, we're going to increase by 2 stitches. So let's just do the beginning and the end. So count from the hook the number of stitches you're supposed to have for this first part. Stick your hook into that last stitch. We're going to do an increasing stitch. Okay, and then the last stitch we're going to do another increasing stitch. Put another stitch marker in here. Alright, so now for the next row, so 2, 3, 4. So for the next 2 rows, we're going to do straightforward single crochet stitches. And this time I'm kind of forcing it to flip already outside in. So if that's not doing it for you, remember that the tail, the excess piece needs to be inside, so just flip your tail inside out if that's the case. All right. I'm hoping this is almost over because I am running out of yarn. This is how much yarn I have left. Okay. Oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. So that for this last row, we have to decrease 2 stitches, which is crazy to me, but all right, so let's decrease 2 stitches here. I'm going to do the first one and the last one. Okay, then we're going to remove all of our stitch markers. We're going to join. I don't even have enough to sew to the body, but maybe I'll use one of the tails. Maybe I'll have leftover. Okay, so join. So put your stitch into your hook into the next stitch. We're going to pull through every loop off the hook. Then we're going to fasten off, yarn over, and pull through the loop all the way out. Tighten it up. All right, this I'm going to try to tuck in here. I probably should have done that before. It's just real tiny, this stuff, and that's what I don't like, because as a beginner you can easily lose your patience with this, on top of the fact that if it doesn't, you know, if you don't do it perfect, then another trick you can do, go through the bottom here, go on top, and then we can just hook it, pull it inward, try to drop it, and keep doing that until that whole length of the tail, our excess piece, is gone. Oops. Okay, so now we have our tail. Then we're going to do the horn. Let me stop and take a look at what that is. Alright, so thankfully, that's these guys right here. I mean, this spool of yarn, again, I'm going to try to go from the inside out. So try to see if you can find that other end. You can go through the other side as well to find it. If you can't find that other end easily, then you can always just grab a random strand and pull it out. Hope for the best. Okay. Use this as paperweight. I use a paperweight to put on here. Alright, so now we gotta do a horn. And we're gonna make 5 of these, so I'll do one now, and then we'll do the rest. I'll do the rest off camera. But it looks like we're gonna be doing the amigurumi again. So I've shown you how to do this 3 times. You can go back to the section in the description box to navigate quickly to the section you need to do the magic ring. But since I've done this 3 times, I'm just gonna move forward with this at my normal pace. You can pause it here until you've got your magic ring, but I'm going to go now and do the number of single crochet stitches required for this ring. Again, working with small numbers, so so glad this is the last one I'm doing. If you find new kits, definitely hit me up. You can email me with the instructions and I can help you out. I'm going to assume those new Crafter Square kits, they should be a lot better than these ones, hopefully. But if not, yeah, let me know and I'll try to help you out. Okay. So, for the next row, we're going to add an extra stitch, just one. So the first one, I'm just going to do the increase. So counting back the stitches. Okay, and then for the next 2 rows, we're just going to do the same number of stitches. We're going to do the single crochet stitches. See if I can try to tuck in this excess piece. Alright. Oh, and that's a bit of it. Oh, this is going to be a nightmare. Alright, so that's it. We're going to join this and fasten off, and we have to do 4 more. looks like you'll have enough of this color to do all 5 horns, so, but there it is, little horn. Alright, when I come back, I'm going to have all the horns, and we are going to start putting the dinosaur together. Alright, so we have all our pieces here. I'm going to take our stuffing, and I'm going to just start stuffing what I can, so that I know I have enough stuffing for the body. So let's start with these horns. You can decide if you want to fill them or not. You know what? I feel like these don't really need to be filled. I think they're going to be fine that way. Because I always pictured like those horns on like a brontosaurus or whatever those... That's probably the wrong dinosaur. I'm not the person to talk about dinosaurs. But the little horns on top of their backs, they don't seem like they're filled. So I'm not going to fill these. Now as far as the tail goes, I don't think there's any filling this, even if I wanted to, because that hole is so microscopic. So leaving that. Then we have the lower legs. So that I think we can stuff. So I'm going to take the stuffing here and try to make it the same size. And I'm just going to go ahead and start stuffing. So this is new. In the past they would just give like one fluffy cloud of stuffing. Now it seems like they're using the pellets. I do prefer the pellets, even though it's like kind of messy. But because when they're in small pieces like this, you can easily manipulate them inside the cavity. If it was all one big fluffy cloud, I find it harder to manipulate. I even say in my videos to kind of pull those apart while you're stuffing, so that's easier to manage. But we're going to just fill the lower feet in. And again, I'm doing this now so that I know I set aside, or in this case put them in the extra, in this case the limbs, so that we don't run out of stuffing later. Then this is the upper arms, so I'm going to grab enough for the upper arms. Try to make it the same size. I'm gonna do the other one. Okay. Alright, so this can be saved for the whole body. So, let's sew this together now. I'm going to thread up the needle. And this has like a skinny bottom. I don't know how this really works, but I'm just going to force my crochet hook in here so I can hook my yarn through that eyelet hole. And we're going to line up our stitch markers. So then I want to pick the prettier side. I don't know. Okay. So I guess we can. So maybe all the way around and then leave this bit open so that we can stuff. Or maybe I'll start this way. I want to not have to deal with this while I'm stuffing. So this should be stitch for stitch, row by row. And then I'm just going to remove these stitch markers as I use them to help me place my needle. That one broke. Oh well. I like to pry them open because they've been sitting closed for so long that they are kind of like a plastic. So if I don't stretch them, they stay closed like this. You can try to bend them out. Eventually over time they'll open again, but I try to help it along. That one broke, so yeah, try not to, you know, forget how strong you are and break them like I did. But this is coming along. I'm still kind of gonna try to figure out where we're gonna put the eyes and the mouth, because I don't see a seam line in their photo, and the photo in the front is not going to help because that's completely photoshopped, and photoshopped quite poorly. So the only real photo I have to rely on is the dull one inside the instructional booklet. And by the looks of it, because I don't see a single seam on there, I think they made the seam in the middle. But maybe I can look at this after it's kind of sewn and see if I can find a position that's going to look best for the end result. But yeah, right now I'm feeling like maybe the middle will be the seam line. Don't forget, we're going to leave a good amount open, maybe right around the neck, or maybe just before that, so that we have room to put our stuffing in. Alright, okay. Now I'm going to just start stuffing this. Still going to break out the pellets so that I can distribute them more easily in this cavity. If you decide to make more than one, I highly recommend that you get your own bag of stuffing, just because sometimes the stuffing they give you isn't enough, in my opinion. So it's always great to have extra stuffing on hand. I've seen in the Dollar Tree they sell little tubes of extra stuffing, but I've only seen it once, haven't seen it since, so I know Dollar Trees are very specific to the area, so some may have it, some may not. Okay. So once we have everything in there, I'm just going to finish sewing everything together. Try not to sew into the stuffing because you can rip it out into the outside surface of your project, and it's going to just look very messy, and it's hard to tuck back in inside with all those fibers. And as you can hear in my voice, it's just getting later and later, so apologies, my voice gets so crackly towards the end of the day. And in case you didn't know, I do have a full-time job outside of this and do have another channel. So I do have a lot to do in such a short amount of time every day. Sometimes this stuff is relaxing, so sometimes I look forward to doing these videos. Comment below, let me know how many of these kits you've done out of the 6. I've forgotten what they were actually, so there's the dinosaur, the bee, the turtle, the penguin, and of course I'm missing others. I don't know, is it 4 or 6? They usually come out with 6. Alright, once you've reached the other side, we're going to find our moment to tie a knot. So let's see what we got here. Looks nothing like, but see what I'm saying? It looks like, okay, we clearly can't make this the front, or could we? Could put it like that and have it do like that, but I think it's more like this. I can see more of the dinosaur this way. So what I'm gonna do is put the arms on the side. I might need this later. Like I said, I have no more yarn for the tail. What I could do is fish this through the other side to sew that tail on, but let's just leave this alone for a while because I want to do all the other things. We're gonna put the limbs together. So the longer ones are the arms. So let's start there. And it looks like we're placing these just below the neck. So let's have this, and then maybe I can kind of imagine a shoulder being right here, so I'm going to stick this right here. Oh. Then I'm going to find my moment to tie a knot. Alright, once you've done that, you can go through one end, randomly out another end. Then we're just going to cut this flush to the surface and then just squeeze this to hide that end in there. So we've got the one arm. I'm going to do the leg. It's the shorter end. Oh, it's all looking the same to me at this point. Right, and by the looks of this, I think possibly it is maybe down here. Okay. Then I'm going to, let's work on this tail. Well, actually I might save it for last. I don't think that's gonna matter. Yeah, I'll work on the tail. I'm gonna do the other limbs off camera since it's pretty much the same thing, just making sure that it has symmetry on the body. For this tail though, like I said, I'm just gonna go in here, and this time I'm gonna try to come out where I think the tail is gonna go. You just gotta feel for this. Good thing it's like a flimsy needle so you won't be poking yourself. Yeah, try to get it where you want it to go. And when I pull, see, I don't want that indentation. Pull it out. Stretch this out. Make sure you have enough slack. You can always put it back later, but stretch it out. I'm going to tie a knot so that it is locked into this location here, and it's not going to pull any bit of the head. Okay, so now we're going to tie our tail. I'm going to tuck this piece actually inside the tail if possible. Actually, I did it this way. Go through under, inside, wrap this up and drag it in there. And keep doing that until all of it's gone. Then we can just focus on sewing the stitches. There's only so many stitches on this end, so we'll see how that goes. Now I'm just going to tie my knot. Okay. Go through one end, randomly out another. And I won't be needing this anymore, so I can cut this flush to the surface. Squeeze that closed. Now again, I'm going to just do the limbs, other limbs off camera. Let's put on one of these horns so you can get the idea of what this is going to look like. Oh, forget. So looking at the photo, let's see if we can start this up here. Is it gonna look so, wow, these look a lot smaller than the photo. Should it start here? Should it start here? I feel like it should start here, but maybe it starts here. And we're just going to follow the seam. So we're sewing this right on that seam line. And again, not too many stitches to work with here. And I'm going to tie my knot. I feel like there's enough of this color yarn to make more of these. I do think you need more of these. So if you wanted to make more, go ahead and do that. I'm not. I think I'm done. It's getting hot and late. But what I'm going to do off camera now, I'm going to put on the other limbs. What I'm going to do is take the remaining 4 horns and split it up here. It's going to look very silly. And then when we come back, we're going to do the face. Alright, so here is our wacky dinosaur. Let's put on a smiley face. So I'm going to start by going in here. I want to make sure that I put it in the right spot. I'm just going to tie this, maybe double knot it, or maybe I'll use it in the end, but let's have the smile come down here. Double knot this. As far as this one goes, you can take your hook, go just under the surface, come up where the excess piece is, and then yarn over and drag it back down into your project. So we have that. Now let's look at the eyes. You can sew the eyes on. They even have like a thing where you can sew on some blush. How's that gonna look? I just think it's gonna look silly. So maybe you won't need that. Let's go get these eyes. If there isn't a sticker, then you have to get a glue gun, which, you know, I feel like is You know what I mean? Like, why would they make this difficult for you? So let me see. I don't think this is a sticker. This is kind of like a silly... I'm gonna get my glue gun going. Looks like you're gonna need a glue gun. Be right back. Alright, home stretch. Waiting for the glue gun to melt. So, I'm not exactly sure where I'm gonna put this. I guess I can put this right here. So I'm gonna take my glue gun, put the glue on there, and then put the eye right on top. Hold it down for a few seconds to make sure that it's on there. So one eye down, and we just have to do that to the other side. Okay, so we have our silly little dinosaur. If you want, you can make a little circle. They have it as an X. I'm not doing it. It's gonna look weird, but it's up to you. You can put a little blush on there if you want. Otherwise, we are done making this dinosaur. Comment below, let me know how it went. This was aggravating in the beginning. I wanted to post this yesterday, but I actually started it and was over it. I stopped. But like I said, that's what you have to do if you're doing these kits and you get frustrated. Even someone advanced as I am, and there's other people that are more advanced than me. When you're frustrated, you take a break, come back later. So here I am, finishing this off. Comment below, let me know what you think. Not that it matters, but let's put us side by side with this photoshopped photo and the reality. It's like one of those things you'll see on like Instagram or something that just doesn't look the same. But there it is. Alright. So thank you so much, you guys, for watching. This is Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.